to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
me, Rob, tuning up over here.
And I'm telling you, it's nice to be back home on the usual mic and everything here. So, again, apologize for the last episode we did there with the mic issues there where I sound like I was whispering and Rob was yelling. Hopefully this should be better for y'all today. So we had a fun one here for you guys today. We're going to talk about a topic that I never, ever thought we were going to, ever talk about. And yet, yeah.
Usually it's off air.
Yeah. Is that a pun? Off air?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we got all kinds of stuff here to talk about, guys. But we got to talk more about Adoree Jackson, his return there. For those who may have missed it, especially those of you on audio, we did a video on YouTube. I did because Rob unfortunately got a little bit busy, and we didn't want to have you guys waiting that long, to go ahead and get that kind of information there. So that's on YouTube. So if you guys haven't gone to our YouTube yet, there's more reason to do it now. Go to YouTube. It's right there. So we also went over, it's a lot of the Giants news there on Thursday, and we got more Giants news to go over with you guys here. So we're going to kick it off here with some of the last bit of news here before we get into the actual regular season. This is our last off-season episode for 2024, guys. That's exciting. Ooh. No matter what Dakota says, I see him in the chat room talking about winning 4 games or less. So on Wednesday, guys, we're going to have for you guys the first preview episode of the 2024 season. So we're going to have going over the Giants and the Vikings Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. We're going to go ahead and give you guys all the picks for week one. Now, that's going to be a little interesting because keep in mind, this season's a little odd the way they're doing this week one. You got the Thursday night game to kick off. You got the Friday game in Brazil. You got all kinds of chaos here. So we're going to have to do an episode during a game. So we figured, because at least make sure we're not doing a Giants game. And we'll figure probably most of us will watch that game on Friday since it is the Eagles. So we can watch Dakota, cry when his team loses and get another country. So
Go Pack Go.
Exactly. So let's get right into the Giants news here. So first thing we got to talk about is some more news on Adoree Jackson. So I went ahead and got that video going for you guys there on Friday, so we didn't have to make you guys wait till Monday, Tuesday to hear the information as far as the signings from us there. But more news has come out since then. So we got to go over the fact that the number is a big thing. That, to be very frank, I'm kind of shocked at myself and kind of disappointed in myself for not figuring that part of it out. Andru Phillips, our third-round draft pick, the corner out of Kentucky there, is wearing number 22, which was Adoree Jackson's number.
Ooh.
So there was some talk today about what number he's going to wear, and it's going to be number 21, actually. Apparently a good friend of his who had died wore that number, so he's going to wear that number in tribute. Drew Phillips did go ahead and actually, offer up that number, and he turned it down. But I like that move by Phillips. I really do. That's
it's a classy move.
Yeah, that's a rookie giving respect to a veteran. And let's be very frank here, guys. No matter what your thoughts are on Adoree Jackson, and I went over on Friday, and Rob, you can feel free to give your thoughts since you weren't there for that part here, but I still think it's a move that reeks of desperation, but it's going to be a cheap enough move that there's no loss going to be had here. You know what I mean? Like, if he plays good, great. If he doesn't really matter because we're not paying him a ton of money at that point. They're at least giving it a shot with the guy who's still available at this point. But no matter what you think of him, Adoree Jackson is going to be, at very least, a veteran leader in that corner room. When you got a rookie from last year, a rookie this year, or another rookie from last year, it's like before this, Nick McLeod. Nick McLeod would have been the veteran in that corner room. Like that's, and there could be only one. So
McLeod.
I had to do it. So now Adoree Jackson becomes a veteran. But Rob, Since you didn't get a chance to give your thoughts real quick on the Adoree Jackson move there.
No, I think we talked about we didn't really want him back because we saw the step back he took. And I mean, we thought there was animosity between the Giants organization and Adoree Jackson. Obviously, there's no animosity if they're bringing him back. And if he's willing and happy to be back, and he made it out saying how happy he's back to be a Giant. So I think it's a good move because he will play. He will be a leader, like you said. He'll be a veteran. He may have lost in this. He may have lost in the step. Yeah, but he still was a good corner for us when he was healthy. Before he was super banged up, before that kick return, if you will.
Yeah,
and he's able to and he's got the respect of Banks already. He's got the respect of Hawkins already. So
yeah, my only thing is that the animosity thing, for the record, is not Adoree towards the Giants. And I wouldn't say animosity as much as the Giants didn't want to bring him back because of how he played and how he took plays off last year, especially towards the end. Dan Duggan was like the most shocked person in the world that Adoree's back. We talked about it all off season that they weren't going to bring him back because of these issues. And I think it's pretty obvious the Giants didn't really want to bring him back. They kind of had no choice because of the way the room is and what's available. But he is back. Like I said, he's going to be number 21. Head coach Brian Daboll even mentioned today that he might play as a punt returner. And that, I got to say, guys, wrong move. Like, seriously, no.
yeah.
We've seen this guy get injured every single year of his career, not just with the Giants, his NFL career, with the Titans, same problem. Why would you put this guy in potential harm's way and put him in a position? Yeah,
where we talked about it big time. That was a Daboll mess up that he made a mistake, and that's when I said he got hurt. That's what I meant. Once he messed up his leg on that kick return, he just didn't play the same after for us.
Yeah,
but he's always hurt, just like you said, Drew.
He's always, and that's why I say, why would you put him on there? Why would you put him in the position? And we talked about this, the last couple of years has always been the rumors of him potentially doing it because he's extremely fast. He's the guy that if he does, get the ball, which obviously doesn't very often on defense, but he is, very good at maneuverability on the field in the open field with the ball. I mean, last year, the one interception he had was returning for a touchdown. He does have that ability. And I get the enticingness of his physical abilities, assuming he still has them. Because again, we talked about the injuries scare me where I wonder how much is left of him at this point. But that's where he's at. You're going to potentially put him in a position to get hurt. By the way, I got to say real quick, Dakota, I see you talking trash in the comments here. Let's worry about your own team here. When's the last time they won a game? How'd they end the season? You can't talk smack when you got blown out by the Bucks and you lost to us. You lost to us.
Yeah, you're talking about how bad we are. You guys lost to us.
Just saying.
What does that say about you?
That's bad. But even as Giant fans were like, you lost to us. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
Oh, Eagle fans. But yeah, like I said, I really think it's a bad move. The other thing we got to talk about is the fact that he's going to be on a pitch count. They've talked about that as well. So, we can't sit there and expect, him to be out there, the entire game. But he will be out in specific plays. What percentage we'll find out as the game goes. I think the Giants themselves even need to assess how, in shape he really is. Because guys can come in and say, "Oh, I'm in great shape," and then they come in like, "No, you're not." But the reverse can also happen, where we go, "Oh, how we got shape are you?" And they go, "Yeah, well, I'm not really in the best shape." And they come into camp or come into practice, and you're like, "Damn, no, you are in good shape. What are you doing? It's lying to us." You just don't know, and it's up to the individual player and how good they've been in keeping themselves in shape. Adoree Jackson's never had this kind of extended off season, so we have no clue what to expect as far as that. But, when you think of Adoree Jackson and the good times as a Giant, leaving last year alone, the best memory people really have is him shutting down Justin Jefferson in the 22 playoffs. Well, guys, remember who we are playing this week? Justin Jefferson and the Minnesota Vikings. And you got to wonder, Do they bring him out specifically on, more obvious passing plays? And if they do they put him on Justin Jefferson? Jordan Addison is going to be out. TJ Hawkinson's going to be out. Like, they really have, I'm telling you right now, like, Justin Jefferson, and I don't want to get too much into the preview of the games. We'll get to that on the episode we do on Wednesday night for you guys, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already hit the notification button there. But how well we do or do not cover Justin Jefferson is probably going to decide this game, because he's the last of the offensive weapons they really have that scare you. It's not the last legitimate NFL player, obviously, but he's the last of the studs that team usually has. They got a backup quarterback. They don't have TJ Hawkinson. They don't have Jordan Addison. That's what they got left. I mean, the rest of their wide receivers, guys, is a bunch of who? Huh? Like, that's what they got left. So we'll have to see what happens, see how many snaps, and see what kind of Adoree Jackson we got there. And I think how much we see him is going to be based on one of two things. Either how good they are in the game. Like, if the Giants are winning, like, you might as well sit him and not, burn him out that week one, and crush him like that. But it's also going to be based on how Banks is doing against Jefferson, probably. Because if Banks is doing well against Jefferson, there's no need to force Adoree Jackson out there when he's not ready.
100%. I mean, I think he'll still get out there, get a couple counts. He may not get the start per se, but he'll get out there and he'll probably have a couple,
See, I think they'll put him out there as a starter just out of like a respect thing. Like, throw him out there as a starter to the first play, take him back out again just so you can say he started. And then,
I guess
pop him in as you need him at that point, That's what I think it's going to happen. So we'll see. I just hope he's good. He's ready to go and in good spirits there. Let's get our next topic. Before we do, Daryl, welcome to the show first off, man.
Yeah.
I see in the comments, don't let Dakota get to you. He's literally trying to get under your skin.
He's like that little chihuahua that when you walk by the yard, he's just yep. He's harmless.
Yeah. He's actually a good guy. That's the whole thing. He just totally likes to get under people's skin. And
he's a grade A troll. So good to see you, Dakota.
No more of those last comments though. We keep that stuff out of this chat. All right, let's get into the next topic here. So we got to talk about the rumored offer that got unrumored, that got untaken away, and all kinds of chaos here. And that's with Josh Jacobs here. If you watch Hard Knocks, he was a top target of the Giants there. It seemed like almost the vibe of like they prefer having him over Saquon Barkley even potentially. So a report came out this weekend, and this is the exact quote here. And supposedly this was during an interview that Jacobs had with The Athletic. And that's where this whole story gets a little crazy. And the interview here in The Athletic, this is the quote here. The Giants came in strong with an offer between $3 million and $4 million more than he actually accepted. But Jacobs was turned off by the New York taxes, lifestyle, media, and the artificial turf at MetLife Stadium. When the Packers offered $48 million over 4 years, he was intrigued, but he still pictured himself as a Raider for life. In his mind, his first team wasn't his employer as much as his home. So he gave the Raiders an opportunity to match. When they said no, he told them he would accept less than the Packers offered if they included incentives. The Raiders turned him down. First off, Raiders, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing? Like, listen, you got a guy that's that good of a player that wants to be a member of your team that bad? Let's be honest,
you
guys.
make it happen.
There are not players lining up to be a Raider right now. And
no.
They may be one of the worst teams at the quarterback position in the NFL, if not the worst. It's like one of the few teams that can say they're just as bad as we are at the quarterback position, potentially, depending on what your thoughts are on Gardner Minshew. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's get out of that for a second. Let's go to the Giant part here. So, Giant Twitter and fandom went freaking nuts over the weekend over this. Absolutely nuts, because there's a few questions that really come into this. First off, should teams like the Giants with a higher state income tax also get a higher salary cap to compensate? And we never had this conversation on the show.
Yeah,
but off of the show for years, I've been saying this. It's not fair. And listen, I live in Florida where the state income tax is 0. It's an advantage for the Dolphins. It's an advantage for the Jags. It's an advantage for the Bucks. Guess what, guys? Cowboys get the advantage. Because Texas is the same way. Houston gets the advantage.
Yep.
Why are you giving 5 teams an advantage like that? That does to me never seems. And that's every single sport, guys. For the record, that is every single sport.
Because the throwback is what happens is that the bigger media areas. Where is it? Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, California. So when you go out there and market yourself, you have more of a ability to make more money in endorsements and in like just commercial ads and just local, advertisements and stuff like that.
The only reason I'm going to disagree with you on this one, Rob, is because don't tell me the Dallas Cowboys don't make endorsement money.
Oh, they do.
Don't tell me Tyreek Hill's not raking in endorsement money in Miami right now.
Well, I mean, Tyreek Hill doesn't matter where he plays. He
did not get this kind of endorsements with the Chiefs. He's getting it with Miami because Miami is a huge market.
You're not wrong.
This is not like Tom Brady going to Tampa. Tom Brady going to Tampa was that kind of scenario. Because let's be honest, Tampa, I live in the Tampa Bay area, so I can say this with no issues whatsoever. Tampa Bay, the Bucks have no actual Buck fans pretty much for the most part. Like whenever you go to the game, it's like a home game for whoever's visiting. But that's a little different scenario. But it's just like I said, to me, it's unfair at that point, and they should change it out. So if you get whatever the tax, I don't want to go exact percentage of taxes because I have no clue where these millionaires get taxed. I'm not a millionaire. Well, but, I mean, let's say it's hypothetically 20%. Then raise the salary cap 20% for the teams in that state. If it's 15%, raise it 15%. Whatever, I don't know. I'm just used to throwing numbers out here. I have no clue. And Dakota, don't make me put you on timeout. I'll do it. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the reasoning would be of giving an advantage like that. I really don't. And that, again, it's every sport. It's not just football. It's every single sport.
Yeah.
So
you're not wrong. I mean, I think it was Joseph Pugh came on Twitter today. Might have been last night. And broke that down too. And he really broke down the incentive to go play here and there, and how that people were talking about Josh Jacobs coming over here was like a big thing. He goes, it was never going to happen, and he broke down those numbers. I don't know if you saw that this weekend or not.
I didn't see that. No.
Let's see if I can find it fast. But yeah, he broke down the numbers, the logistics of everything, just like you said, the tax codes and different scenarios, how you can make more money. And granted, everyone's talking about like how he wanted more money than $12.5 million, and we weren't offering that to Barkley. So like, why would he think he's getting more than Barkley?
Yeah. So, and that's the other part of it is people were shocked because if that was true, they did, like you said, offered him more money than they offered to Saquon Barkley, and that raises a huge eyebrow because most of this offseason, that's been the biggest talk. Is Saquon leaving for the Eagles. So, now you look at it and go, oh, hold on a second. The money was there. They could have paid him. They chose not to pay him because they were willing to offer it to somebody else. So that really got people going. And the third part that you really got to look at as well is the turf thing. Like, don't get Giant fans started on the turf. Do not get us started on this turf. That is like, we hate the turf more than the players probably do at this point because we've seen so many players go down and get hurt. Even during like the BS fan fest we had a couple years ago with Marcus McKeith and tearing his ACL during that. Like, that stadium is just not conducive to players' health. And it's an embarrassment as a Giants fan. I'm sorry, it is. Even this new turf, they should have put grass in. Now, we didn't seem to have the issues as much last year with some of these injuries, at least the long-term injuries, like, the season-ending injuries,
Yeah.
But put grass in. It's doable. You do it for soccer games. Do it for the NFL games, and it's just a little ridiculous. So that brings up a point here that we're about to get into next here. Says Sports Illustrated reported that the Giants never made an offer to Jacobs. Yeah, so that's the funny part. This whole thing blows up. People freak out. And then it gets retracted. That happened just today. So Dan Pompei of The Athletic, who was the one who wrote the initial article and had
He's
the interview
the blame.
with Jacobs, he says, okay, since this came out, a leak source tells me the Giants never made an offer to Jacobs. Apologies for the spikes in blood pressures, and please permit Joe Schoen to see another sunrise. That's exactly what he wrote, because Giant fans were that crazy. Now,
yeah.
Here's what I don't understand. You interviewed this man.
Yeah. Why did you ask him? That's part of being a journalist.
But what I'm saying is, you interviewed him. So did he not say this in the interview?
That must be.
Him? Like, explain to me how you have an article about an interview you have with the guy. You put in something and like a whole paragraph about it, basically. And then like, oh, my bad, never happened.
Yeah, whoopsie.
I want to see the tape of this interview. I want to see what happened here. Like, what got misconstrued in this whole scenario? Because I'm concerned now. Did Josh Jacobs say something in this interview? Now they're kind of like sweeping under the rug because it ticked off Giant fans. I want to know what actually happened.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
So, like I said, either he's covering for somebody now because the Giants called him up and said they're pissed off about this article coming out or something, or he just totally doing a disservice by the way he wrote this whole article, because you wrote a whole paragraph that was all fugazi. Like, did he even offer the Raiders a chance to match? Did he take less money from the Raiders potentially if they had given it to him? Like, I don't know what I can trust now. Like, that's a big mistake if he made that mistake, guys. And Dan's not usually that kind of reporter. I've in the past taken what he says as, okay, if Dan says that he's got legit sources, this has got to be legit. I don't think he has that abilities with me anymore. It's almost like I need to go get a second source now. He says something like, that's a big mistake, guys. So
huge.
So in the end, this whole story turns out to be a Shakespearean play called Much Ado About Nothing. So let's get to pay the bills real quick, guys, before we get to our next segment.
I didn't even have to text you this time.
I know you're about to. I saw it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. And of course, also, those of you on YouTube, super chats are also now available. Those of you guys also on Facebook, stars are also available for sending as well. So, real quick, because I've been asked this question a couple times in chats and all. Dakota asked it. And I said, so you guys going to do games live? So, guys, we don't plan on doing the live games. Now, that's not to say we won't do live games. That's not to say it's never going to be an option the entire season, but as of right now, we don't plan on doing it. Part of the thing is, to be very frank with you guys, when I watch, and I don't want to list anybody specifics, I don't want to seem like I'm knocking other content creators. I want to help and build other content creators up where we can. I don't want to knock them down. But when I watch other people's live feeds, I feel like half the time they're sitting there just staring at a TV.
Yeah.
That's not doing you guys a service. I'm not going to put something up on this channel just for BS and, clickbaity and, and get you guys going to watch us just staring at a TV for a couple hours with us occasionally saying something. That's not fun for you guys either. Let's be honest.
Dakota, you doing this? Like, are you sitting there upset that you can't watch the Giants live with us?
He seemed upset about it. And like I said, we may do it for some games. I'm not saying we're not going to do it the entire season. We'll have to week by week decide what we want to do at that point there. So keep an eye out for that then. Now, there also is, keep in mind, guys, we did talk about another contest we're doing with a certain Daniel Jones jersey. We haven't stopped that. I can't play the video because apparently there's some YouTube things I have to put up to keep them happy. And I just haven't had a chance to redo the video for that there, guys, because of the fact that I was away on vacation all last week. So should also give a shout out to anybody who might be on that I met at Dragon Con. I met a lot of people at Dragon Con. I went to a lot of different content creator segments and all, and classes and lectures they were doing there. So it was kind of like a nice vacation / work trip. So maybe I use it as tax write-off. There we go.
There you
go. All right, let's get into actually real quick, because you said one other thing as well. Dakota, I see you say you're not in the group yet. I told you, message us on Facebook, we'll get you on. So I can't invite somebody that I don't have access to their Facebook like that. So message us on Facebook. Now he says, what is Dragon Con? I told you guys last week. It's a big Comic-Con. Actually, it's the biggest one they ever had this year. 75,000 people at this convention, guys.
A lot of Dragon Balls.
75,000. Actually, there was plenty of people dressed up as Dragon Ball Z. So also plenty of people barely dressed at all. This is a very weird combo with this thing here. Dragon Con's a little crazy. I definitely recommend it to people that like going to nerd cons and all. So, all right, let's get into our next segment here. Because if you want to talk more about cons, we can message us on Facebook. I don't want to bore the people that aren't into cons at all. They're a lot of fun, though. It's mostly one big drinking costume party for the weekend. All right, next segment here. We got to talk about the on-again, off-again relationship with Jacob Johnson and the New York Giants here, because that is going big time right now. So Jacob Johnson was originally cut by the Giants on the original 53-man roster. Then they went ahead and put him back on the active roster at that point. And that's when they, moved a lot of the guys on the IR. Well, they cut him again.
Poor guy.
And they already picked him back up and put him back on the practice squad. I feel like
it's like he's playing games with this guy. It's like, should I buy?
You know what it is? It's like there's certain players that you just have that rapport with, that you can say, listen, we're going to catch you. Just hold on tight. We're going to pick you back up again. We're going to activate you off the practice squad if need be. We'll figure it away. This is just for us to make another move, help us out, be a team player. And I feel like that's 100% what's going on here. But they had to cut somebody to go ahead and make room for Adoree Jackson. That's who they cut, Jacob Johnson. And again, he's got that great relationship with Carmen Brasillo. I have to imagine that behind the scenes, these kind of talks are happening, and it's kind of a legal way of manipulating the roster, basically, in that way. Now, keep in mind, also, Jacob Johnson brought down to the practice squad means somebody has to leave the practice squad. It's a circle.
It's a circle of
rosters.
Yeah.
So Miles Boykin was cut. Who was also, again, originally cut from the 53-man roster at that point there at the cut day there. So basically, it's like we didn't cut Jacob Johnson for Adoree Jackson. We cut Miles Boykin for him, which I'm cool with. I mean, this guy's he's a bottom-level receiver that's best at special teams. It's not we can't get a guy like that again. No disrespect, but it's the truth of what he is. It's the honest assessment here. So Jacob Johnson, like I said, I expect him to be active. I don't know off the top of my head if anybody's like this cap roster guru kind of person. The only thing I'm not sure is are we allowed to activate him this week because we just put him on the practice squad this week, I don't know if there's a rule against that, but if there's not, I'm telling you guys right now, they will activate him off that practice squad. Remember, they can do that a few times before they have to permanently put him on the active roster, which I'm sure is their long-term plan to do with him there. So yeah, Jacob Johnson, I expect him to be here the whole season, but he's going to be that guy that they can drop him down to figure out a maneuver a roster spot. They're going to do it because he's not going anywhere. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to be with Priscilla. They're BFFs.
Yep. Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try.
Just the two of us. You and I.
Priscilla and Johnson.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the other news here that got everybody all up and about and all in a tizzy there this weekend here. People freaking out already over things they don't need to. And that's because Joe Schoen's already scouting quarterbacks. Well, that's the way the media would have you think, you guys. So, is Joe Schoen going to games that have top end quarterbacks? Yes. 100%.
You'd be silly not to.
Yes. Now, here's the thing, though. The teams have other players, not just quarterbacks. I know it's crazy.
Other needs.
Colorado isn't just Sanders. Or just the one Sanders, because there's multiple Sanders.
That's about to say.
Georgia. I don't know if you're aware, but they have a pretty good roster every single year.
It's nuts. Dakota, that might have been like the smartest thing you said tonight.
Yeah, every team is scouting quarterbacks right now. But I mean, this is the narrative you're going to get from the Jones haters, guys. And I think, listen, the season's about to start. Let's end this Jones hater narrative BS. And let's just say, I wish he wasn't our quarterback, but he is our quarterback. And at least for the next 17 weeks, maybe even a little more, or 18 weeks, I should say with the bye week, 18 weeks, maybe a little more, depending on how things go. We're gonna root for the hell out of trying to prop him up and get him going at that point, because being a hater of him does us nothing good whatsoever. We should be at this point here supporting the team, getting everything as positive as we can at that point. Now, don't get me wrong. If this man throws 3 interceptions on Sunday, I'll be the first one flipping out and probably having to run to Best Buy to grab a new TV.
100%.
But we have to give him a shot to fail in the regular season. Now, at the same point, we have to give him a chance to succeed in the regular season, guys. Hold your judgment till you see what Jones we get. Because I'm telling you right now, if we get Jones of 22, again, I'm not saying we're going to go to the Super Bowl, but are you going to honestly sit there and tell me that this roster is not
much improved
better than the 22 roster? If we get the 22 Jones back again, guys, this is a team that's going to find a way to win games. Now, if we get the 23 Jones again, we're screwed.
Looks like quarterback very early.
So, but again, so Shane was at games this weekend for Colorado, for Georgia. Ironically enough, I was like a couple blocks away from Joe Schoen. I didn't even know it at the time because the game was going on in Atlanta where I was for DragonCon. So, I'm going to run down and see if I can go see him. Who knows? I met Carl Banks that way. But, it's one of those things where they should be going to these games, especially right now. Like, what is Joe Schoen really doing this time of year, guys? Like, let's be honest. What is Joe Schoen doing?
He's getting ready for the season, and he's getting ready for next season.
Yeah, but I'm saying, is there like major GM moves he has to make right now? No. And I know, he signed Adoree Jackson last week. Yeah, that dude, you could do that within an hour.
Yeah, listen, he has a rapport with Adoree Jackson, so it's not like he has to be there that much. Like, obviously,
this is the time of the year he can do this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he can do this stuff because he has extra time. When the season starts,
it's different.
He's still going to have more time than he has in the off season. Don't get me wrong, but he's going to have less because as injuries happen, as things move, he's going to have to maneuver the roster around. He's going to have to figure that stuff. He's going to have in-season contract extension talks. He's going to have that kind of stuff. This is the first week of college football. Every single NFL GM, I guarantee you, went to multiple games. And
100%.
you can't blame them for looking at quarterbacks if they are. But at the same point, you can't just assume they're only looking at the quarterback. Like, you think he has tunnel vision on Sanders at that point at the Colorado game? Do you think he has tunnel vision for Carson Beck at the Georgia game? You don't think they have other good players the Giants might be interested in?
Yeah.
Like, absolute insanity, guys. Like I said, this is all the Jones hate narrative. And again, I get the not loving Jones part. Like, I don't love him myself. He's who we got. We have to deal with it right now. Who we got. So, all right, let's get into our next segment here. So, Wan'Dale Robinson credited for an idea with retired numbers, and I kind of like the idea, guys. So, this whole thing pops up, of course, because of the fact that Malik Neighbors got number 1 out of retirement, which has been in retirement forever, it seems like. Going back multiple generations of Giant fans to go ahead and see somebody's actually seen Flaherty when he was wearing number 1. But we talked about it when they made the announcement, like, you're giving a new generation of Giant fans to learn about a player they probably didn't know much about. It's the truth of the matter. So Art Stapleton put this on Twitter, and I want to talk about it because I thought it was kind of interesting. He put, Wan'Dale Robinson had a good idea yesterday when I talked to him about Malik Neighbors getting number 1. Some of the players kicked around the idea and thought it would be cool to get permission to put an extra patch to honor the former player if a number was taken out of retirement. Use the number, but make sure it's a tribute to the legend. I like that.
Oh, that is really cool. Yeah.
Right? I like that a lot. Like,
you get your 100-year patch, you'll put your number 1 over here.
I mean, you can't keep also retiring numbers because eventually you run out of numbers like the Yankees do. Like the Yankees, I feel like half the numbers. And listen, guys, I'm not a baseball guy like I'm a football guy. I don't pretend to be. So if somebody knows the exact numbers, feel free to put it down there. How many numbers the Yankees have retired? But it's ridiculous. I know that. I mean, it's like their whole outfield is full of Monument Park, and half of them are guys that aren't Hall of Fame guys. It's like, but the Giants have a great history, and they easily
22.
Yeah, I was looking it up myself as I was saying 22
of 100.
Yeah, that's a lot. 22% of your number is gone. But the Giants have other guys you could sit there and say, could very well be, retired at that point as well. Like number 10, for example, not retired. That one could be very easily. So actually, number 10 was retired, wasn't it? I take it back. They brought him back. But there's a lot of numbers out there from players that haven't played in a while. And you can go ahead and do that. Get themselves, some recognition to future generations. Because like I said, I really do like that aspect of it. So we have, let's see if we got let me get the full list for you guys here of the players that the Giants have that are retired right now. So we have 1, obviously, out of retirement temporarily at least, 4, 7, 10, 11, 14, who's actually 2 players, 16, 32, 40, 42, 50, 56, and 92, all retired. Guys, that's a lot.
Quite a bit.
That's a lot of numbers gone. Like, what do we have like a kicker? We're like one of the numbers in the 40s last year because we ran out of single-digit numbers. I think that happened, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
To me, it's chaotic. Like, I love giving, kudos to the past at that point. Like, you really, especially when you're a team like the Giants, respect the history. But to me, the numbers should never be retired. I'm a little different than some people on that, and I get that, and I respect people that have other opinions. I can deal with people having other opinions. It's perfectly fine. To me, you put the people in the ring of honor you want to respect like that. You leave the numbers alone, but you may put those numbers in like a separate pile. Like, you want this number? Oh, you got to earn this number.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that to me is more what it should be. Like you got to know who you're like. Let's say we draft a quarterback in the first round next year, hypothetically. since everybody was talking about that at the previous segment. And he comes in and he's like, you know what? I really want to be number 11. Dude, that's Phil Simms' jersey. You know what you're asking of us?
Yeah,
Like,
you're gonna win Super Bowls for us. You take us to the Super Bowl,
and that's a conversation, legit having a conversation and saying, you know, you go talk to Simms. If Simms gives you permission, we'll let you have it. But you're going to do something to honor him all season long for doing that. And listen, guys like me and you, Rob, like we know Simms, we know how we played, we know the history of Simms as a player. We sold. Let's be honest. I know it's sad.
I have to wake up and stretch before I start my day.
Let's say we were 25-year-old young guys at that point again. Well, that means you're born in '99. You've never seen Phil Simms play. You know him as a commentator for CBS.
You barely watched Eli at that point. Yeah.
Well, they were in kindergarten or whatever when he was drafted. So, but I mean, you're talking about there's a generation out there now that doesn't know really too much of his playing days, unless they've taken the time to earn that knowledge by actually, you know, learning.
But to the average fan, yeah.
You know, and if that's the case, then yeah, it's great for a new generation to learn about this player, and I think it's a good way of doing that. I like the idea. I really do a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it. For the record, I don't think they'll do it, but I like it. I also don't know what kind of patch would you put on. Would you put like a Phil Simms face on your shoulder, kind of like when Dak was wearing the Walter Payton Man of the Year thing for the year?
Like,
I don't know how you would do that exactly, but yeah, I mean that's. Like I said, that'd be a nice way of doing it. I kind of like the idea. I don't think they'll do it, but I like the idea of it. 2 more segments here for you guys. So we got to talk about a guy that I know a lot of y'all are big fans of, because this is like the most popular Giants player to be going into his second year without a catch in the NFL yet.
Yeah.
Bryce Ford Wheaton, who's called a freak of nature. A freak of nature. Now, that's usually not a good thing, but when you're a football player, that's usually a good thing. So, Wan'Dale Robinson was talked to by the media, and this is what he had to say on him. He said, I mean, he's a freak of nature for real. He's strong as hell. He's fast. He can do it all. I'm pretty sure special teams is what they love the most about him, at least right now. But he still brings an added piece to our receiver room. He's a big body. He can block, strong hands, go up and get the ball. He's still developing in the receiver aspect, and obviously all of us are. But I think he's going to have a really big impact for us. That's some very kind words.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy that's, let's be honest, you guys, barely made the roster. And I really think the only reason he made the roster, to be very frank with you guys, is because that the Giants know that if they dropped him, somebody else probably would have picked him up. If they thought they could have snuck him onto the practice squad, they probably would have. You know, and probably would have kept like Allen Robinson or something like that. They're going to give him a little more time to develop there. My biggest thing that I want to see is how is his hands? Because that was his biggest issue in college. That man dropped the ball quite often. Like, I swear, instead of putting gloves on, he put some Vaseline on his hands. Like, it was a really ridiculous drop rate he had there. And that's what stopped him from succeeding so much in college. And if you can fix that, he's got great speed. He's got good route running. He's got quick turns at that point. You know, he's got everything you could possibly want otherwise. That's the one issue he had in college, was the drops. And sometimes you can teach that, you know, as far as, you know, stopping, you know, dropping the ball. Kind of like you saw last year with Slayton. We were hoping he's fixed that problem. He didn't have nearly the drop rate he had in prior years. But, yeah, that's an issue, guys, when you can't catch the ball and you're a receiver. So, but he can get open. He's got the size. He's got the speed. You know,
he's got the power.
220 pounds, guys. 6'3", 220 pounds. Like, that's a big guy even for NFL receiver. Like, that's really a decent size there. And then when he threw, like, it was at a 4.3 40. He did his pro day, I think. Like absolutely ridiculous. Like the athletics and the physical profile on this kid are just unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. So, hopefully he can get it together as far as the catching. Because if he learns to, fix whatever problem, and I don't pretend to be a West Virginia football guy, like where I know the ins and outs of all that stuff. But if it's just as simple as like the way he's catching the ball and they can fix that or something like that, or him do a little bit of grip on the ball as he goes to pull it in, or them repeating to him, hey, before you turn to make your next move, make sure the ball is actually in your hands.
Yes,
usually those three, one of those three are what it is. But
yeah.
This is a guy that I feel like he's going to be boom or bust. Like he's going to be the guy that either is going to be like coming out of nowhere and be very, very good, or he's going to be the guy that's like you have on the roster for the year, proves that he doesn't belong and is gone. I don't know which one it's going to be. I can tell you which one I'm rooting for. Obviously, it's him to come out of nowhere and just kill it.
Obviously.
But guys, 11.2 was his drop percentage in college. 11.2. That's insane. So, like I said, let's hope they get that fixed, get him going the right way, because if he doesn't, pan out, there's no big loss. But you want him to pan out because you see the physical nature he's got there. So, all right, let's get into our last topic here.
Ooh. It's a little spicy.
This topic, well, it depends on what dinner was. But this topic, I never ever thought. Listen, guys, we have brought up some really weird topics in the show. We've talked about an Eagles player running out in the bill from a lady at the night.
A very nice lady, yeah.
Yeah. We've talked about, all kinds of crazy things before. I never thought I'd throw this headline up for you guys. Brian Burns enjoys the smell of his own farts. Thank God Dakota left. I can imagine the comments he'd have here right now if that's going on. Like, and guys, that's not a joke. Like, that's a legit thing that he said. So, Giants social media, if you follow the Giants on the different social media things, they like to throw up different videos with players. They ask them stupid questions, like every team does. I mean, let's be honest, every team does the same thing with their players.
Always.
Like their biggest thing they love to do is throw out the hard to pronounce names, and like especially on Long Island and stuff like that. And a lot of them are like the Native American names at that point of the towns that are kind of hard to say if you don't know how to pronounce them. If you're not local to the area like us. But they asked them about things, bad smells at that point, and things that people think smell bad that they don't hate. And Brian Burns, true to form, he says some weird things sometimes. This is what he said.
Definitely left a burn skin mark.
This is what he said. He said, "Sometimes I enjoy my farts. They don't smell too bad. I'm not going to lie. If you eat right, you're fine." I don't even know what to say to that.
Well, I guess you're more entitled to enjoy your own brew than someone else's.
It reminded me of, remember that South Park episode where the people from San Francisco were farting, like going like this because they love the smell of it so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, this video literally, guys, went viral for a little while there, and the Giants quickly took it down. Took it down. But listen, anything you put up on the internet stays up on forever. The internet. Exactly. Stays up on the internet forever. So, it's there. I do think Brian Burns was kidding. I don't think he legitimately smells his own farts. But it's hilarious. It's hilarious. And I gotta
imagine this guy just sitting in the sauna just busting ass.
I'm telling you guys right now, if I was an offensive tackle in the NFL, let's say I'm playing for the Vikings and going against Burns week 1, and I see him there, I'd be like making comments about this like crazy. I'd be doing like this is something you're going to use to try to get under his skin. I don't know how it works. I don't know Burns personally, so I don't know how his persona is.
If you're willing to say this on camera, I'm assuming it doesn't bother you.
Yeah. If anything, he'll probably fart at one of the players that's going to get the chance to.
I was about to say, he might laugh, and when he blows past you, he might blow one past you.
Oh,
he might
gosh.
crop dust you.
That's insane. Like I said, I never thought we'd have this topic on the show, but here we are. Here we are, guys.
Yep.
All right. That calls it a night for us. So, guys, remember, we are going to be live for you guys Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going over, like I said, the first game of the week here. So hit us up on all the channels if you haven't already. The best way to view us is on YouTube. I will always stand by that. So if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share, hit the little bell on YouTube, because then your phone will go off to tell you when a new episode comes out at that point. So because if things do come out, like what happened Friday, us doing a quick video about Adoree Jackson, if you didn't hit that bell, you had no clue. You had no clue. So we want you to have a clue. We want you to know what's going on. We want to be able to provide the information to you guys. So hit that bell if you haven't already. So we are, of course, the next day always available for the live videos we do here for the full episodes on all the audio podcasts at 5 a.m. Eastern on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all the big ones there. So if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe and shares on those as well. Feel free to do so, please. And the big one is rate us on Apple. Apple is probably where we get, I would say, easily 70% probably of our listens. For some reason, Spotify doesn't love us. So I guess a rating on Spotify wouldn't hurt either. but Apple seems to love us. So at least someone does. At least someone loves me. Yeah. And again, guys, Thursday, for all you guys who just love the NFL as a whole and all you all that are degenerate gamblers, we're going to be here with our previews and picks. We'll go over, like I said, the winners, the spreads, the over-unders. We're going to go over all that stuff with you guys for every single game this week coming up here as well. And that'll be live during the first game here on Thursday night. So if you like to mute the game, like a lot of people do, I can recommend a good background noise.
Yeah. Well, talk about that game. We should probably, at the end of Wednesday night, talk about that game real fast and put our picks in. This way, if you guys want to know your picks for the game that we're going to be talking over, you can get them in before the game starts.
Well, the game be going in for like an hour. It starts at 8, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why we should get the picks on Wednesday, because if you want to bet that game and hear what we have to say about it,
we'll try to get it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Every so often you have one or off. That's one of them. Good job.
Every once in a while.
Even
a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Yeah, so we'll do that one, I guess, Wednesday night for them and do the rest of them on Thursday. So, again, guys, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Appreciate you guys all for watching. If you're new to the program, welcome as well, I should say. We've had a huge flux of people lately there. So, much appreciated for you joining in for the first time. Appreciate you guys for watching, as always. And as always, Giant fans,
go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.